This book is called The Story of the Leprechaun. It's written by Katherine Tegen and illustrated by Sally Ann Lambert. So big thank you to Katherine and Sally for this awesome book. And I don't think you need too much of a clue who's reading with us. You can see over here what we have. Some clovers, some lucky clovers. And reading with us is our very own Leprechaun. He came to read this book. You ready to get started? Let's do it. So here's the little land where the leprechaun and the fairies live. So each tree is something different. Like this one is the shoemaker, that's the fruit shop, there's the little fairy ring. So it's like a map of their land. It's pretty cool. Oh, we have a note from the author. Are you ready to read this note, Leprechaun? All right. It says, leprechauns are a type of fairy, and for that reason they have magical powers and can grant wishes. Most leprechauns live in Ireland, although quite a few came to North America when families left Ireland in the 19th century. Leprechauns are misers. Do you know what a miser is? A miser is somebody who's kind of like a Scrooge, who keeps their money, who doesn't really want to spend it, maybe a little bit greedy. So that's a miser. So leprechauns are misers, and they're careful about keeping their pots of gold in a safe place. They are generally suspicious of humans, who often try to capture them or trick them in order to get the pot of gold. Unlike humans, they also have a natural ability to find the end of a rainbow, which is handy when burying their treasure. I wonder if our little guy has buried treasure at the end of a rainbow. What do you think? I don't know. Has he? Let's find out. A little man about 2 feet tall lived under a large tree by a stream. You could easily find him by listening for the tap, tap, tap of his hammer. See his hammer? What do you think he makes with that hammer? Oh, it's going to tell us right here. The little man was a shoemaker. He spent his days making shoes that were green, gold, and lavender. Some with pointy toes and some with high heels for the people who lived nearby. And for the fairies who lived in the woods. The people knew he was a leprechaun, for there were many fairies like him who lived outside villages. Wow, look at all his shoes he's making. He's delivering them. I love little fairylands. Look at all the fruit by that tree. That's so cute. Oh, and there's another little shop in the tree. Oh! Look at the trees, they have faces. That is so cool. The people paid the leprechaun with pieces of gold for the shoes that he cobbled. The fairy shoes were made of satin, and they were tiny. The fairies brought their gold to the leprechaun too. Look, she's flying with her little bag of gold. The leprechaun needed a place to keep all his gold. He was a bit of a miser. Remember, miser was the word that we learned earlier. A little bit of a hoarder, a little bit of a Scrooge, kind of greedy. So he was a bit of a miser, so he didn't like to spend his money. An old metal pot became the perfect place for all his wealth. His shoes were so prized that soon his pot of gold was overflowing. So look, there's where he kept all his gold. And he made a lot of gold because people loved his shoes. They are very pretty. One day, a man named Tim came to the leprechaun's shop by the tree. He wanted a pair of shoes that would be violet blue with thick heels. As he was describing the shoes to the leprechaun, Tim spied the pot of gold. Tim knew that if he could capture the leprechaun, he would be granted 3 wishes because leprechauns are magic. You are magic? Look at that guy. Maybe he'll give us 3 wishes. I'll come back in a few days to collect my shoes, said Tim. The leprechaun was no fool. He knew what the man was really after. He buried his pot of gold in a field with berry bushes. Leprechauns are very, very smart. A few days later, Tim came back, and the leprechaun gave him the violet blue shoes. Ooh, those are pretty shoes. But when the leprechaun turned to hide his payment, he was snatched from behind. Oh no. The leprechaun could not escape. Now Tim could get what he wanted. For my first wish, I want you to show me where the pot of gold is hidden. For my second wish, I want 100 pairs of shoes. And for my third wish, I want 3 more wishes. Ooh, now Tim's starting to sound like the greedy one. The leprechaun said, I can grant you the first 2 wishes, but the third wish is a greedy trick and cannot be granted. The leprechaun brought Tim to the field and pointed to the spot where the gold was buried. Tim had no shovel to dig with, so he marked the spot with a stick and shoe. He would come back later, so he's probably going to go home and get his shovel. When Tim returned, he could not believe his eyes. Oh no! There were 200 sticks with 200 shoes all over the field. It was leprechaun magic. Oh my goodness, how is he going to know where to dig to find the gold? That was very sneaky. Tim dug many holes in the field, but he couldn't find the spot where the pot of gold was buried. After a few hours of digging, he gave up. When he tried to collect the shoes, each one disappeared. The leprechaun had tricked him. The leprechaun needed to find a better place to hide his gold. He knew that rainbows were magic. You could never tell where one ended. And if he buried his gold at the end of one, only he would know how to find it again. Again, he's a very smart little leprechaun. So that is what he did. People still try to find his gold, but they never will. Look, everybody's looking for the end of the rainbow to see where he buried that pot of gold. Listen for the sound of the leprechaun. Tap, tap, tap as he cobbles his shoes. Perhaps if you find him, and if you are very nice to him, he will grant you a wish. And that is the end of the story of the leprechaun. I hope you guys liked it. Thanks for reading with us, little leprechaun. Come and read another book soon, okay? Before he disappears, we gotta find his gold at the end of the rainbow, right? All right, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.